All right, welcome back, guys. This is Derek of the Dallas Prospect, and the Oklahoma City Thunder have their first game in the books now. It was a home opener against the visiting New York Knicks.
What's up, guys? This is Darreck Kirby, aka DDP of the DallasProspect.com, your home for all things Dallas sports and pop culture. Welcome back to the Dallas Prospect YouTube channel. Today we're going to be changing things up a little bit. Take a look at our pop culture content.
I've seen you guys 4 or 5 times now, and I mean, not saying this just because you're literally right here. I've always thought you guys were just as good, if not even better, than the headliner for the shows.
Thank you, thank you.
Can I say something really quick?
Yes.
Derek was totally nerding out about this interview, by the way.
Thank you.
He was really excited about this interview.
Thank you, Derek.
All right, now that my credibility is shot.
If you're a fan of Dallas sports and pop culture, this is your place to be. Already decided you don't like me? No sweat. I'm one of like 15 contributors here.
He's pretty good at making adjustments season to season, but in a game, sometimes even week to week.
9 ridiculous Marvel and DC comic storylines we'd love to forget about. Personally, I'd like to forget that Wolverine and Squirrel Girl, but I have no need for Garrett. I don't want Garrett. I am sick of Jason Garrett. That said, I still think the problem was over here a little bit as well. I'm not saying it was the right way. I'm saying it was a way, and it was the way that they chose.
All right, here it is. Hush.
Children. Oh,
God, they did it.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm so good. I'm so good.
Welcome back to Cheap Pop, where I try to analyze and break down the biggest questions across film and television. Today's topic, Annihilation, starring Natalie Portman.
Let me tell you something, brother. This is the 4th straight year of Cavs versus Warriors, brother. And oh, brother, are we sick and tired of seeing it.
I mean, really, there's no telling how different this team would have looked in recent years had Cuban simply drafted. And it was Cuban's decision, don't get it twisted. Donnie Nelson loved Giannis. It was Mark Cuban's decision to pass on the Greek freak. This is a more puzzling one because at least Eric Dampier saw 6 out of those 7 years on that contract with Dallas. And it was the trade chip Dallas actually got from moving on from Dampier that allowed them to go get Tyson Chandler. Facts. Dennis Smith Jr. highlight dunk. Alright, let's see what the hype's about.
Oh! Even if he had Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet, bro. Thanos was on the left hand. Infinity Gauntlet, brother. It wouldn't change the outcome. And in case you're a Warriors fan, well, let me tell you something, brother. Let me tell you something, brother. Snakes can't wear gauntlets, brother.
WWE Creative has no real direction for Finn Balor, and it's driving me crazy. What are they doing? I don't know, but I wish somebody, anybody could come in here and fix the booking of Finn Balor. Who are you? Who are you? What's going on?
What's up? I'm DDP from the Dallas Prospect. I heard you needed a fantasy booker.
What are your thoughts for how the offense can kind of right the ship against the Lions this week, since it's been struggling the past few weeks?
Well, you know, first of all, the players got to be accountable to themselves and get out there and play some hard-nosed football and quit worrying about what play is called, what play is not called.
This next matchup will be the first time, brother, but not really. The last time, brother, but please God, yes. The only time, brother, that we get 2 NBA teams matching up in the finals 1, 2, 3, 4 times in a row, brother. Because, frankly, brother, it's getting a little bit nauseating at this point.
You want the tagline? Oh, it's that. Yeah. Every legend begins.
Oh my God, you're fired. You're just fired from the
I'm freaking tired, okay? I'm freaking tired. I slept on the ground, man. I slept on the freaking ground. I don't care what you say. I slept for like 30 minutes. I had no sleep. What? No. You don't tell me what I experienced. I slept on the freaking ground. Okay?
Every legend was once a prospect.
Yeah. And they're getting pressure on the QB too, and usually that translates to interceptions or tipped passes or just passes thrown under duress. But I really can't see, I don't know if it's like a phenomenon or what, but
All right, what is up, guys? What is up? This is DDP from the Dallas Prospect, joined by a special guest here tonight. We have Max Levy in the house, Rangersking669. What's up, Max? How are you doing? Good, good. Yeah, so we got, let's see here. Check one thing on the setting. Soundbar didn't look like it was moving from Max. Let me see. I bet I know why that would be. Yeah. All right. Try that again. One more sound check.
Yep, sound check 1, 2, 3.
Yep, you're good. I got the thing plugged into my mic, so it wasn't pulling the correct audio source. So, yes, we are up and running here. I see all the bars and everything measuring correctly. I think we're good. I see them commenting, but they're 20 seconds behind, so I don't think they've seen the correction.
All right, yeah. Sounds about right.
Yeah, so let me know, guys, when you're able to hear him. Okay, Kendall says okay. Think we're good here. But yes, it officially, as of this coming Saturday, marks 1 year from my first upload on YouTube under the Dallas Prospect. So there we go. It's been, yep, they got you. So yes, it's been a long time, and by no means did I show all the clips in that countdown, but I just kind of picked and chose random ones that stood out to me in some kind of way, just going through. And yeah, you see in that very first video, first of all, I don't have a beard, which is blasphemy in itself. And yeah, it's been a long way. I could barely talk even to the camera, let alone, that wasn't even live, that first video. That was just pre-recorded, and I still couldn't talk to just to the camera. So by no means am I great at it now, but I at least can roll with the punches well enough that I'm not constantly stammering over myself. So some good improvement in there.
All right. Should we go and run the shout out train right now real quick?
Yeah. Tell me if you can hear this. Well, you might not hear it actually, but they'll hear it. Possibly. Maybe. Hold on. Flip it back. Flip it.
Not a game. We talking about practice.
All right. Yeah. All right. Guess you're not able to hear it, but I played the Wonder Boy drop that you sent me.
Yes.
Yep, I got that drop. It seems like when I have it set up this way, your audio is coming from one source, and this is, I think it's because I have you on call looped in. It's coming from like one source as opposed to the normal one, so it's like I have to flip between them. So I guess in this setup, I'm not able to be as drop heavy as I was last show with any. But that's all right. That's all right. We're here for more direct analysis today, talking DeAndre Jordan and talking about your article. So let's real quick before we get into that, I guess start running the roll call as you mentioned. Gle, first one in the house as always, even jumped on before I corrected the title of the stream and all of that good stuff. Always quick to point out my faults. I mean that in the best of ways. Daniel Meza in the house, what's up? Abraham Young. We got Captain Jackass, not a name I see in here too often, but what's up? Kendall, what's up, man? Let's see, anyone else you want to shout out? I know you were sending out invites to this ahead of the show and everything.
I'm sure they'll start flooding in. I got some other people who I've been telling. I just want to say, do you know the legend of Captain Jackass?
Do I know the legend of Captain Jackass? I'm afraid I don't.
Do you not remember the crazy DeAndre Jordan rant video?
Huh. From when?
It has
I guess
450,000.
Okay. No, I guess I don't remember that. I think anything... Was this before or after the Great Emoji War of 2015?
It was like when he stood us up and everything after all that, and then there was the picture. He talked about the picture of the chair, and he was like probably drunk, and he probably said some really stupid threat about slashing DeAndre Jordan's knees. It was very emotional.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I missed that. Yeah, interesting. Captain Jackass looks very happy to hear this story being brought up.
He knows it's on the internet.
Yeah.
He still has it up.
Yeah.
Too popular to leave it, to turn it down.
Okay, well, there you go. Elliot W. also in the house now.
he obviously knew the story very quickly. So yeah, I'll have to look into that more. Captain Jackass, I didn't realize I had a celebrity in here.
Oh, you got a lot more coming, buddy.
That's cool. That's cool. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. But all right, so Max, tell me. I guess tell them if you guys haven't had a chance to read it yet. Just kind of give them the general idea of the DeAndre Jordan article you wanted to do.
Oh, there's a lot in here to break down.
To unpack.
Yeah. So first, I just want to get into some stats. There's about 1,000 words, pure stats in here.
Mm-hmm.
First,
yeah,
it just kind of goes into. No, for the people out there.
Yes.
There's about 1,000 words in pure stats.
Yep.
There's first a kind of just a general breakdown with like general advanced stats, and then it goes into the team and like what changed and why some of these things are drastically decreased. Then we start going to specific stats like block percentage and defensive field goals attempted and contested 2-point shots and the whole bunch of beautiful, complicated stuff that I can't do with any players outside the NBA. So it's a lot of more specific.
Yeah.
And then we get into play type stats. You got all of those, offense and defense, that would involve DeAndre Jordan. A quick note about his efficiency and turnovers being worse. And then we get into the player impact plus minus stats made by the wonderful Jacob Goldstein. Shows how he literally fell from beasts, like considered quote unquote MVP candidate level player in terms of PIPM wins added, to basically 0.
Wow.
Which is
and was this just a 1 year? Was this just a 1 year drop off, or is this a decline that has been happening? Because I admit, like after the 2015 thing, I kind of mentally checked out of DeAndre Jordan unless he was literally the opponent that night.
I mean, in 2016-17, by PIPM stats, he was considered an MVP level candidate.
Okay.
But consider that it's basically because Chris Paul made his life.
Yes.
But even without Chris Paul, he was still Defensive Player of the Year, All-Star, All-NBA level player, according to PIPM stats. And I would probably agree with that, to be honest. I mean, he fell off from 6 to 0, which 0 is not the worst, but it's like barely started.
Though, yeah.
And then if you look at his projection, he's projected to have about 2.08, which is decent. We're talking elite level starter, fringe all-star. In the West, it would not be an all-star. In the East, it would be one of those last man all-star types.
Yeah.
Just barely less worth it. I'm surprised. I thought he was going to be worth less, but according to value added, he's worth, with that kind of projection and about 2,500 minutes, he's worth about $21.2 million.
Okay.
So he's a lot less far off than I thought, but if I'm being honest, I would have liked him to get paid around what Wes Matthews was getting paid, but I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, Wes is what, like 17, or he might be, since he's the last year of his deal, it might be a little bit more inflated than that.
Oh, he's like right on 18.
18, okay, yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, had the 2015 arrangement worked out, that's what he would be getting from us, because that was the deal, right? Was that they were both basically being maxed out, or no, because Wes got a little bit of bonus money at the end. When DeAndre backed out, they basically had the arrangement of they were going to max DeAndre and then give Wes what was left. But when DeAndre backed out, they basically just fully maxed out Wes as far as they could, I think.
Yeah. They kind of paid Wes a lot of money.
I think that was a loyalty bonus
going in,
because they gave him the option to leave, and he said, no, I told you I was going to come here. I'm not going to back out. Although, you know, that's very honorable and great and everything, but it is also one of those things where it's kind of like, does he not really, is that really his code, or is it that like, God, I can't also back out on them. I don't want to get ripped too, you know? I don't know whatever it is. I don't want to besmirch or anything his name, because he has been the consummate pro since he got here.
Yeah. I'm more just frustrated at the fact that imagine what we could have done had we not done what we did with him, but oh well.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah. So then after that, we get into some of the components of his offensive game. Free throw form. Then we talk a little bit about post-ups for like 2 sentences, 3 sentences. A little bit about his finishing and how his finishing was a lot more limited because nobody could pass to him anywhere near as accurately.
Right.
Then this is probably the thing where it's like, oh my God, this guy wrote like 6 or 7 sentences about screens. Yes, that's like one of the most valuable things about DeAndre Jordan is that he's so big and powerful, and you can't ignore the screens for DeAndre Jordan. It's like one of the most valuable things.
Absolutely. I mean, that was one of the things for Tyson Chandler too when he was here. Either stint, he was a fantastic screener in creating space.
Yeah, I mean, you can have like anything. You want pin downs, you want ball screens, you want back screens, you want him to like come from the perimeter and you just push this dude.
Yeah,
he can do that for you. I just saw on one of the clips. So a very quick note about his passing. He made a couple like impressive transition passes and like one basic pass. Rebounding, incredible box out guy when he's engaged, very physical when he's engaged, but sometimes he's really not, and it's like you're going up against Amir Johnson.
Yeah.
And you're not going up for this rebound, and I'm like, you totally could just reach over him if you wanted to, but you don't even go up for it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt.
It's a little frustrating.
Yeah, there's no doubt he had a down year last year, and part of that, as you mentioned early on in the article, just the departure of Chris Paul. But on top of that as well, just the style of Clippers, they moved as a team from like this exciting Lob City team to more of ISO, pick and roll, kind of, just one guy take it, try and work with it. And he had guys like Austin Rivers, Lou Williams, Blake Griffin, and Tobias Harris as like his main options. And Milos, I can never say his last name. What is it?
Teodosic.
Yeah, I still have not gotten that right. If he had become a Maverick somehow, I would have taken a point to learn it. But I just call him Milos. I just leave it at that. But yes, not obviously a huge gap left there from where Chris Paul was. And while the Mavericks don't have a Chris Paul, they do have a lot of guys who can create in similar ways, create easier shots, whether it be, Dennis Smith Jr., obviously, Luka Doncic now. But even from the guys that have been here, you also have, Devin Harris, JJ Barea. I even think Jalen Brunson can get a little bit involved with him in that regard as well. So there's a plethora of guys to set him up here, which I think is something he lacked last year, which is why in most of his categories he dropped off, except for rebounding. That was that his career high?
Yes.
Yeah, it was like 15.6 or something like that, boards a game, which is just insane. I don't think the Mavericks have had a double-digit rebounder in several years now.
Yeah, it's last time was 2014, 2015 Tyson.
Yep, that makes sense too that it would be him. Yeah, this is again, guys. If you have not checked out Max's breakdown, by all means, if you're a deep stats kind of guy, very interested in getting a complete picture of what DeAndre Jordan can bring to the Mavericks, this is a great breakdown. I mean, this is fantastic. All the different graphs and everything you've got in here that really lay out averages and even different scenarios in that regard, as you were mentioning. Just a fantastic breakdown. Definitely more in depth than I would have known how to go into myself. And then you've even got the film to back it up at the end there. So that's, great piece. Probably, I think this is the single best scouting piece we've had on the website so far.
I mean, I'll take the compliment.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem, dude. I mean, you're one-upping yourself in that regard, I think, whether it's the ding or what was the other one that's somehow slipping my mind?
Ryan Brokoff.
Yes, Brokoff, yes. One of the guys Any somehow could not name in the Mavs Fast Break Sunday. Oh, man. I actually am mad that I pulled us off air when I did, because as you guys kept commenting and all that with your riffs on the tagline, we were just dying, but I had already muted the mics and everything and we run the closing graphics. So he and I just broke up laughing for another 5 minutes before I realized, I still have a streaming, even though there's literally a black screen now.
So, yeah, that was great. Every legend once slept on grass or something, I think was one of my favorites I saw.
Yeah. Dennis.
Yeah, that was great. Mojo99, what's up? You got a fan here.
Oh, celebrity in the house as well.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, man. Yeah, all the new people tuning in here. Definitely, if you're interested, feel free to subscribe. I mean, we talk Mavs every Sunday. Now working it in as the season's approaching to do it a couple times a week, and we're gonna find some watch party stuff that we can do during the season where we go out for a live remote and do the show, commentate, and all that throughout it as well. Whether it's myself and any Max, you'll probably be out there sometimes with us as well. Marcos, what's up? But yeah, man, we're building a nice little Mavs community out of this too. That's awesome, man. When I started at the channel, I think when I started it, the Cowboys were already in season and going, and so I kind of ran more heavily with the football side. But it's awesome. As soon as I started stepping into really going into Mavs talk regularly, which was probably not that long ago, just a few months really. You guys have shown up and show that you're showing love. I mean, that's awesome. It makes me want to make more content, and that's part of why when I got the new writing gig with Dallas Sports Fanatic, I made a point of saying like, no, I also want to cover the Mavericks and earn my way basically for getting the credentials to the game so I can get the locker room access and all of that they have as well. So we'll have some good stuff for you guys. It's just a matter of waiting until the season gets underway, really.
Yeah, for sure. Congratulations on getting those.
Thank you.
Have you already gotten them? It's like a confirmed thing?
For the Mavs credentials?
Yeah.
I've not gotten them yet. Dallas Sports Fanatic they get regular credentials. Like, they have season pass credentials. So at some point, I'm going to get to go. I'm continuing to put out regular content for them on that side, on that topic of the Mavs. And then there's going to be games where they send me out there, whether it's instead or maybe one of the two guys can't go, so they're sending both of us up, So it'll be scenarios like that. But yes, I will get access to the Mavericks, I'm guessing at least half a dozen times this season.
It's going to be awesome.
Yep.
And another awesome thing for me, if any of y'all happen to have any critiques for me, please do not hold back. I am here to take all sorts of criticism. I'm here to learn. I'm here to do.
Yep.
So
that's what you got to do. Take the lumps if they come.
And another thing, this is only the beginning. So if this seems good to y'all now, understand. For me, this is like the beginning and like almost the worst that you'll probably see from me. So it's only going to get better from here. Now, understand in terms of the depth of stats, it kind of depends on the league they come from because sometimes they're not available, and I'm not about to pay like $25 a month for Synergy.
Right.
Sorry. Some new people in the house. Virginia's Finest. Is that you, Meech? I'm not sure.
I've seen Virginia's Finest in the chats. Even
crap,
Cowboys
no, it's somebody else. No. Crap, he's from North Carolina. I forgot Meech is from North Carolina. No.
Oh. Yeah,
no.
I've seen Virginia's Finest in here before. Joel Fowler, what's up?
Y'all. Well, hello, Virginia's Finest. Hello, David Conrad.
Yeah, David Conrad's got an interesting take here. Dallas will retain DeAndre Jordan next year. I believe this one-year deal was part of a future deal where this year's high salary would be averaged for over future years in exchange for a team-friendly deal later on. That's an interesting take. When they agreed to the one-year deal, I got why they chose the money figure they did, because it's the money he was opting out of, and of course they tried to trade for him from the Clippers first, and it just didn't quite work out. But I was bummed out when I heard it was a one-year deal, because I'm like, man, at least do a 2-year deal with a team option on year 2. And so, yeah, it makes sense, because there's no way, barring injury or something like that, that you bring him in for all that money to make your team so much better rebounding and defensively, and giving you like a bailout safety valve as far as lob threats on the offensive end, and then immediately go like, all right, see you later. See you as you go on to LA or whatever, the Lakers, because if he left Dallas, I'm guessing that would be where he wanted to go, because LeBron wanted really bad for the Cavs to trade for him at the deadline last year, and they couldn't quite pull it off. So I can't fathom that, because then if you're Dallas, like, well, what was the point of that? You got a great center and you let him walk. I know it's like reluctant to give him like a 3 or 4 year deal potentially, but you got to do something more than one. But
yeah, I think there's a specific strategy behind it that kind of could make sense. I've talked about this before. This mirrors the JJ Redick situation a lot to me, where he got paid like what Wes Matthews is getting paid this year in 2016-17, and then they just chop off his salary by like $6 million.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be that type of situation, but
you're
they
talking about
want to
him
get
to
rid of
the 76ers, correct? Where he got like $23 million for one season there initially, and now he's obviously stayed there at much friendlier deals.
Yeah, I think it was $23 million, then it was like 17, and now it's 12.
Gotcha.
But I'm not quite sure.
I mean, that's a good approach for signing veteran players, though. I mean, really is, because you're lessening the hit each year, and the player's happy because they're getting more of the money up front. Of course, with the NFL, that would be even better, where contracts aren't guaranteed. At least in like the NBA, you're going to get paid out.
Yeah, and then the other thing, they could just front load these contracts where like it decreases by a percentage.
Mm-hmm.
But the genius about doing this is you can just have their contract finished and their cap hold.
Yeah.
And then sign whoever, and then when you get bird rights on these guys, you can sign them over the cap.
Yep.
Wait, no, you can't. You can't do it any longer because you release the cap hold. But still, you know how much you have left to sign them.
Gotcha.
And you have better plans, and you can get who you want first instead of having to worry about how much is this guy getting paid and how much is that guy getting paid. Because guess what? They're all expired.
Yeah. No, I get you. Let's see. Marcos is asking how long do you think Barnes will be out? At the time, I was hearing a few weeks. Pretty much that's why they just said the whole preseason. I imagine if he's not ready for the opener, which is a week away now, he'll be ready surely, within the first week of the season, I would imagine. What do you think? Have you heard anything to the contrary?
I know there's like a very large probability he will sit out the opener.
Okay.
After that, it's a mystery. Rick Carlisle said he needs to get into like a lot of practice before he plays because he hasn't basically practiced almost at all since the injury.
Yep.
So I would rule out the first 2 games at the minimum, and then after that we'll see.
Okay. Interesting. Let's see.
King busy in the house?
Oh, yep. King busy. Let's see. Mojo99's asking if we saw Trae Young tonight. I did not see Trae Young tonight. I'm guessing by your comment he went off.
Yeah, Mojo's has a flair for the dramatics, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he did went off. Yeah, he had a game winner versus the Spurs.
Gotcha.
Versus the old Spurs.
Yeah, and
Trae Young's a fun player for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do know that there are some people who were torn on the trade, the basically Luka for Trae Young deal. Like a couple people who are fans of the Dallas prospect in other ways. I think they watch more on like the football side, but for what they do watch of basketball, they were on the opposite side of that, thinking that no, you had the right guy. You had Trae Young. What are you doing? And I'm like, no, I don't agree with it there. I think Trae Young is very boomer bust. Ironic being from OU, Boomer Sooner, but very boomer bust. And to me, Doncic feels not only like a more NBA ready product, but a much more sure bet than Trae Young, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've been talking about this with a few people, and everyone's like, in the national media, everyone's like, the biggest X factor for the Mavs season is how well is Luka Doncic going to play, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
The biggest X factor this year is not Luka Doncic, because Luka Doncic is a pretty consistent guy. You know what you're going to get out of him this year. He's going to average in like the teens in points. He's going to shoot mid-30s and threes. He's going to get about 5 or 6 rebounds, 5 or 6 assists, and he'll shoot NBA league average, maybe slightly above average, maybe slightly below average from the field. He'll shoot like 75 to 83% from the line. These are all very predictable numbers. Whereas DeAndre Jordan, we see the kind of year he had last year, and we know the things about how he wasn't motivated. He even admitted it himself on Instagram when he was talking to Caron Butler.
Yep.
He was kind of trying to deny it, and then he's like, "You know what? You're right."
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean that's a good thing, really. I mean, yeah, I understand people who get frustrated with pro athletes who don't give their full effort because they view it as like, oh, you're getting paid all this money, you're not even trying your hardest. But I mean, it's human nature, right? You're going to get dejected and frustrated as things kind of drag down a little bit. And for the Clippers team, that was absolutely what last year was. Not that they ever got that far in the playoffs. I think they had one chance to go to the Western Conference Finals and choked away a 3-1 lead in the second round against the Rockets. But nevertheless, it was still a situation where they had pieces that were believed to be contenders, like make them a contender year in, year out, and then suddenly it's just like poof, everything's gone. Like from the time that DeAndre Jordan had the change of heart in 2015, JJ Redick was gone. At that point, by the deadline of last year, Blake Griffin was gone, Chris Paul was gone, Paul Pierce had retired. Like literally everybody except the owner and the coach involved in that whole fiasco in 2015 was gone. So you're going to be dejected. You're going to be frustrated when you're suddenly on a very, very poor team with not a lot of immediate prospects.
Yeah, I mean, and on top of that, it was like maybe 10 games within the season. I was already, and then just me going back on research, I could find a piece from like Clipperholics, which is the Clippers fan site. It was already like, does DeAndre Jordan have his head in it? And this was when Blake Griffin, it was either just gotten injured or like was still on the court.
Mm-hmm.
So it was already a problem because like Chris Paul just has that much of an effect for DeAndre Jordan. And that's the reason why Luka Doncic is going to be key to bringing him back from almost the brink.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it was, his impact was huge on DeAndre Jordan. There's a reason it became Lob City. Yeah, DeAndre always had the athleticism and all that, but he wasn't a monster until he had Chris Paul there. And yeah, it's not a shock that as far as his overall stats, he took largely a step back without Paul on the court. And the only place he did step forward was the rebounding department, but you didn't have Blake there, so you kind of had less competition.
Yeah, and it was still only by like 1.5. I mean, it's not like he upped his rebounds by like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
It was like 1.5, 2 rebounds.
Yeah.
The most 3. And then we're still talking about you're the only good rebounder on the floor next to Tobias Harris.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, Tobias Harris is basically a Harrison Barnes clone who can shoot better threes.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Yeah, someone asked me who I would have taken if not Luka. I was high on Michael Porter Jr. until like it was like the day before the draft or the day of the draft. You suddenly heard like, oh no, he actually had a second back surgery. And then at that point, I was like, ooh, okay, at 3, no, I'm backing out at 3. Now, I did start to get tempted when he was down there. I think at 14 is where he got picked up. And when he was still there, I was like, ooh, is that worth trading up to get? Like, taking out the flyer at that point. But obviously, they didn't go that route. But that would have very much intrigued me. At 3, I was pretty much set between Bamba or... let's see, probably Jackson at that point, if not Bamba. But Bamba was probably the main guy I wanted at that point. That's assuming Luka was already gone. That's like draft day, my thinking.
Yeah, for me, I've been a guns blazing Jaren Jackson Jr. guy ever since January. So
okay.
Still on it.
Yeah.
I mean, summer league, he showed out. Preseason, he's showing out. Everyone's like, his shot's not going to translate to the NBA. He's been shooting it pretty well so far in college and high school, even now summer league,
yep,
preseason. He's pretty consistent with it, so I never understood that. And I never understood why people were saying he's so raw either. But yeah, if we did trade up for 3, I would have been like guns blazing for Jaren Jackson.
Yep.
If we had stayed at 5, I guess I would have liked a lot Wendell Carter Jr., but
Yeah.
It's a lot more difficult with Wendell Carter Jr. because you don't have an elite rim roller, you don't have elite athleticism, you have a semblance of a jump shot, and you have a good passing game, and you have thickness. That's what you have with Wendell Carter Jr. I mean, he feels like Al Horford, but the thing is with this athleticism is that he's more like what Al Horford plays like now, instead of Al Horford in Atlanta was considerably more athletic than he is now, so he's going to have to maintain that for a lot more of his career.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, Mojo's 99's going out to watch the Lakers game, but says he'll tune in next time we stream, so salute. Guessing that might have gained a sub out of that if he's going to be aware of the next time we're streaming.
Oh, he already said he was going to sub in the chat.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I see Elliot has sent me the infamous video. The, what was it, the Captain Jackass video?
Right in hell. Sorry, that's what he said.
Nice. Yeah, a couple new subs. That's what's up. Do you think the Mavs bench is a little underrated? Asks Marcos. I mean, they won't have any problem scoring. They were already going to be a pretty solid bunch in that regard. You got a bunch of veterans who can create and run the offense. I like what Jalen Brunson can bring to the table as well. And then, of course, you move Dirk to the bench at this point. I imagine now he averaged 12 points a game last year. I don't know off the top of my head how many minutes he had, but it was less than 30, I know. So you got to think coming off the bench, his minutes are probably going to be in roughly that same ballpark once he gets going. He's obviously going to miss at least the opener. I would guess probably the first week maybe of the season. But once they get him going, assuming he holds up health-wise, I think he'll add a lot because, like, off the bench, because you're not going to have to ask a whole lot of him. When you're starting him, you still have him in certain matchups that are less than ideal, even when you try to hide him at center. And now I don't think you're going to have that problem as much. Now when he's in the game, it's like specifically for the mismatch he can create.
Yeah. So last year, I just know this off the top of my head because I've looked it up a ton of times. He averaged 25 minutes per game.
Okay.
This year, I would say that moves to about 21, 22.
Yep. That was kind of my thinking, yeah.
I'd say, based on what I've heard, like he said the rehab was, like Rick Carlisle in a press conference like today or yesterday, he said like the rehab's going much slower than expected. I wouldn't be surprised to see him being held out until the first like really meaningful game if Jimmy Butler gets traded, which would be against the Raptors on the 26th, which is in 2 weeks from now.
Okay.
And that's an optimistic projection because considering Seth Curry's rehab and considering Dirk Nowitzki's a 40-year-old man.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right on that. Let's see here. Oh, I got an idea. One sec. Let me make an adjustment here on the mic. I have an idea for how to fix something. Just make it a little bit better. One sec. Flip that. Flip you over here. Okay. Sound test. Let's see. Sound. This is the unnecessary adjustments I make on the fly sometimes. Set default. And all right, test. And of course that doesn't want to work. Fine. Back to what I had. I shouldn't even bother tampering as much as I was. It's fine. I was trying to make an adjustment. I thought I could make a quick adjustment where I could have the drops thing. I thought of a way to do that. There we go. Let's see. All right. Yep, we're back up. Sorry, guys. Your mic's going as well again, so we're good.
Okay. Just quick note. I just want to point this out because you've had these up on like the recent streams. You've had this poll, the same poll, the last three streams. It's like, should Dirk start this year?
Well, are you guys answering the poll or what?
Well, I've answered the poll every single time. Thank you.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I've also, I'm pretty sure, been the only guy to answer that poll because
Possibly.
no one really cared.
I created the poll and I kind of forgot about it. So
If there's like 3 votes, they probably are all you.
Yeah, because it's 100% no.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. No, I agree. I put that up because at the time that I think I issued it, I was still getting so many people asking me that question, and I was just like, really? Like, I've answered this, and it should be fairly common sense now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people got to ask all these questions, and then you have the people who maybe haven't been in tune with, like, he's had surgery this and surgery that, and he's having rehab problems, and he's 40 and all that, and just not thinking about it all the way.
Yep.
So, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, yes, Dirk will... Marco says he answered it as well. There we go. Dirk is my favorite player of all time, but hell no from me. Yes, I agree 100% with everyone on that. I mean, last year I understand you were still kind of in a bind because it's like, all right, who are you going to play over him, you know? You got to have someone there to make the move make sense. And now with DeAndre and the addition of Luka, you obviously have that common sense where it wouldn't make sense to start Dirk.
Yeah, and even then, we still had like a center by committee situation for like 30 games or so.
Yep.
Where like Dwight Powell would come in and start, or Maxi Kleber would come in and start. Although usually I've seen him start alone and with Dirk, so it goes both ways for him last year. Maxi Kleber is looking so promising this year. I'm very excited for him.
Yeah, I've been impressed with what I've seen from him so far in preseason for sure. He's hitting the outside shot better too, like the 3-point shot. That's one thing that is probably for me one of the more pleasant surprises.
Shout out to Koten.
Oh yeah, Koten from Asia. Like your show, been making some pencil-drawn animations of Dirk in my spare time for over 4 years. Hope to see him next year in Dallas. Man, that is awesome. Yeah, if you can get here to a game, absolutely do, because they won't say for sure it's his last year, but it's more than likely it's his last year. Not just because at this point, I mean, I know you've mentioned the most games with the single. No, it wasn't most games with the single franchise. What was the record you mentioned that if he could hold on another year, that would be
all-time NBA seasons leader.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, the all-time leader in seasons. I don't see him getting to that point. He'll already have the record as of the first time he suits up this year of most seasons with a single team. First time he's actually dressed out and available to play, I think, is when that record will officially tally in his favor. But yeah, he's already done it all. There's if it's one of those things where you're like, oh man, if we were like 1 year away and you knew like for sure, like, hey, find a way to come back next year as well, and you know we'll be able to make a deep run, then maybe it's more tempting. But this team, I don't think. I know there's a lot of optimism from some of the people in the comments that the team is a playoff team now. Someone in Sunday's chat was giving us the business a little bit on that, and I'm super optimistic. I would love to be proved wrong with this team making the playoffs. I just don't think it's quite ready. Maybe they can do it next year, but I think that you need a little bit more developing time for the younger guys like Dennis Smith and Luka making the slight adjustment to NBA competition, even though it's less of a step for him coming from EuroLeague than it is for D1 players to the pros.
Yeah, I mean, Dejan Zilli was playing the ultimate role of Luka Stan.
Yep.
So, moving on to a couple more questions.
He was ready to fight me.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Yeah.
He was like, if you really believed in Luka, you'd have them winning 41 games. Like, I believe in Luka. If they win 41 games, I will come onto the stream and make the whole stream about how right you were and how wrong I was. I am not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. Hell, my countdown had me like out loud booing the Leighton Vander Esch draft pick for the Cowboys, and now he looks like a stud, and I even put the caption up there like, definitely was wrong about this one. Like, I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong on stuff, and Mavericks are for that too. Just because all of my heavy Mavericks content has been in the off season, I haven't had much of an opportunity to say I was wrong on that. But yeah, absolutely, I don't hide from my mistakes. I gladly embrace being corrected, because to me it just means, okay, now I know for sure that I'm right. Whereas before I was operating more on like gut feel or my non-expert analysis.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I'm very much an optimist with Luka, and I'm even giving Dennis a lot more slack than I probably should. My main worries are, at this point, after examining DeAndre Jordan, I'm a lot less worried than I was before.
Good.
I'm very, very worried about Wes Matthews because for me, when I was watching him, he'd have like 15 to 20 of these games where like he would end up all right shooting, but it's because he went like 0 for 4 for like the majority of the game, and then when it's, garbage time, he hits 2 threes in a row, and it's like, oh, he shot 2 for 6 tonight. And it's like, no, it wasn't really like that. They were leaving him wide open, and nothing was going right. And our spacing got mucked up because he was cold all night.
Yeah, no, I agree. Wes Matthews is a huge concern for me this year. Do you think that I know that you've kind of advocated for it, but do you think that the Mavericks will have him not starting this year? I know that I think Maxey was who you were pushing for, kind of advocating for being a starter this year.
I think it's a good experiment to try out. I'm not sure how it would work practically, but I'd love to see them try it. Another situation I'd love to see him try, I saw this brought up by NT3 Maverick on Twitter, a.k.a. Fan of Things. He was talking about if Dorian can keep this level of efficiency, maybe we start him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind trying that out either because he's taller, he's more athletic, he has almost as much of Rick Carlisle's favor, so he might actually be able to do it. And honestly, if we can have a guy that can consistently shoot 37% instead of a guy that'll, get cold a lot, even if he shoots like a ever so slightly higher percentage, I'll take the consistency. And then when Wes Matthews is hot, he can close out games or something instead of Dorian closing out games.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be fine with that. Let's see. David Conrad. This team feels like it's 1 year away from being that Mavs team from '99 that upset. Oh, I think he's saying feels like it's 1 year away, kind of like that Mavs team from, and he's saying '99 that upset Utah in the first round. Wasn't that like 01?
Yeah, I think so.
01, yeah, because they beat Utah in 5, and then they lost to the Spurs in the next round, I believe.
Yeah, I'm looking up Calvin Booth's game winner.
Yeah.
Right now. May 3rd, 2001.
There you go. So if he's saying 1 year away, then that would be referencing the 2000 team in that case. So he's close. I get what he's going for.
Yeah, I mean, this Mavs team is a lot farther ahead than the 1998, 1999 Mavericks were. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's intriguing. It's going to be a very young, exciting team to watch, and I think that they are going to. I mean, it's good because not only do you have the respect that Dennis Smith Jr. garnered all last year. I know by the end of the season, all the attention for the rookies was on Donovan Mitchell and Jason Tatum, and understandably so, rightfully so. But Dennis Smith Jr. still was getting major props and respect, a lot of attention throughout pretty much the most of the year, if like 3/4 of the year before he kind of fell back in that Rookie of the Year race completely. So you have that for him. You have Luka Doncic, who's like this international phenom who all these people want to see what he can do if he can live up to this hype. And so that's going to garner attention and everything. That's why I wrote one of my recent articles was why the Luka Doncic hype is actually good for Dennis Smith Jr. because it kind of allows him to fly a little bit under the radar, whereas last year the primary focus was on him, right? Him trying to attack the rim and dunk on Draymond Green because he's already aware of his reputation at that point, giving him a hard foul and basically trash talking him and all that, like that might still be there to some extent, but I think most of that attention might kick towards Luka this year, just because of the hype that's been around him, and I think that'll allow Dennis Smith to kind of fly a little bit under the radar, catch some dude sleeping and dunk on his head or something,
Yeah. I mean, it was nice seeing him make a couple of those floaters and those off-dribble jumpers.
I was thrilled to see him shooting floaters. Yeah, that's one aspect of his game I really wanted him to add. And he was yelling about that even more than I was. He mentioned that on the stream Sunday. He about jumped out of his chair the first time he saw him do it in the game.
Yeah. My main worry with Dennis is just because he was already a bad free throw shooter last year, so I don't share this concern with Luka Doncic despite him being a bad free throw shooter last year. Despite the fact that Luka had like 2 games where he shot 3 of 6 from the free throw line, Dennis was still less efficient from the free throw line than Luka in this preseason.
Yep.
So he shot like 58%. I'm like, no.
Yep.
58%? Like, that's how well DeAndre Jordan shot from the free throw line last year.
Yeah, no, that is admittedly an inexcusable stat for Dennis. I'm trying to look what his percentage was last year at the free throw line. Last year, 71% last year. So, yeah, he's going to have to step up from that for sure because, I mean, really, at this point in the NBA, yeah, you can't have your starting point guard and really a guy who you're hoping can be your primary scorer. If not this year, then 2 years from now, you're hoping Dennis Smith Jr. is your high point man on your team. And you got to have a better percentage than 71% because he'll get fouled. He'll get to the line. You have to then be able to capitalize on it.
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, you know what? Actually, he was 69% last year. His projection for this year is 71%. 69.4. Jeez, it was even worse than I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure... Let me look this up. But I'm very confident DeAndre Ayton shot a similar percentage in college.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about Dennis Smith Jr. having a similar free throw shooting percentage to a rookie,
to
a rookie big man, actually it's even worse. DeAndre Ayton shot 73% from the free throw line in college on 5.5 attempts a game.
Yeah,
and he's a big man. And then we have a guard here that.
Are you looking at his stats right now for how many he attempted per game? I got that up if you want it.
You can feed it if you want.
So he made 1.9 on average per game and only attempted 2.8. So as often as he was attacking the rim, he was not shooting a lot of free throws. He'll have to get those up a little bit too because that's always the next step to becoming like a superstar is being able to get to the line and get those free points. Like you look at guys like James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, like the guys who take that next step early in their career, whether it's year 2, year 3, are the guys that can get to the line and get those freebie points.
Yeah, if you remember, it was in like I feel like it was in February around the trade deadline. 538 released this piece compiling like all of the 2-minute reports, and they had like which players had the most missed foul calls that the refs were supposed to call. Leading the league was Spencer Dinwiddie at 15. And then Dennis Smith Jr. was at like 9 or 10, and he was second. So
he has like the weird distinction of being like one of if not the most blocked guard at the rim last year, I recall. So that's interesting that they're saying there were a bunch of missed calls, just that he wasn't getting the respect, I guess, to get the free throw attempts.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of that. I mean, you look at some of the players he's compared to, like Derrick Rose had a much better free throw rate than Dennis Smith Jr. Dennis Smith Jr. had a free throw rate of like 19%, and then Derrick Rose, you see getting this free throw rate of like high 20s, and you're like, why can't Dennis get this kind of respect? I mean, I know Derrick Rose was a #1 pick, but like at a certain point, you got to officiate the game, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, I don't know. It is one of those kind of mind-boggling things. I don't know. It's something he'll have to improve on regardless. So I'm curious to see what steps he takes in year 2. He's shown flashes of his game. I don't doubt he's been working. Some of those floaters he incorporated in the preseason, I loved seeing those. That step back was just nasty. How much space he created on that. Love all of that. And you know, you had in the second game his 15-point first quarter. He did go cold overall the rest of the game. I think he started like 7 of 8 and then ended up like, what was it, like 8 of 15 or something? I mean,
yeah, it was pretty rough.
Yeah, and that kind of went to one of my complaints from him from last year was that he wasn't super efficient. He could get pretty good numbers, and then you looked at his percentages, and it was sub 40 on field goals and like 31% from 3. And he showed flashes where you're like, ooh, he's putting it all together, most improved player. Like I was already starting in my head kind of drafting out an article or something, and then the rest of the game happened, and I was like, maybe I'll keep this one in the back pocket for a while.
Yeah. my another fear that like that game like is the perfect example is like Dennis Smith Jr. Like he was really inefficient last year, and he probably gets those efficiency numbers this year, but like on average. But my main worry is how spread out is that sample going to be? Are we going to see like the Terrence Ross of point guards become Dennis Smith Jr.? That's be very sad.
Yeah, that would be. How many minutes do you think, Marcos is asking, how many minutes do you think Luka will average? Dennis Smith was like 29.7 last year. I don't know if that's a good barometer or if Luka's a little more seasoned coming in, so you can throw him in there. I kind of projected out in the comment back saying like 29 to 34 was my guess. I could see it being a little more, but not much.
Yeah, I would probably put it in about that range, closer to 32. Like not low, not the high 20s for sure. He's going to be at least 30, especially because he's actually used to a long season. So like his rookie wall, he's not going to have the same kind of rookie wall where like he hits it and then like he's just tired, like all the time. He's not going to have quite the same feeling. It's just going to be he hits the rookie wall because teams might figure him out, kind of like Trae Young got figured out, but like maybe perhaps even to a greater degree just because he's in the NBA and not in college. But but the difference is he has an NBA quality coach, Rick Carlisle. So Rick Carlisle will figure it back out, and then he'll get back on a roll in like the last 20 games, and he'll get his minutes back that he might have theoretically lost by playing bad. So I have a lot of faith in him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So since the stream is about DeAndre Jordan, if anybody wants to ask some questions about DeAndre Jordan, just so we can at least get a little bit in depth.
Yeah, hit us with a couple of DeAndre Jordan related questions here. I got time for like 5 questions and then probably wrap up this one. We've been going about an hour.
Yeah.
Let's see. And I always say this too, if you guys have like ideas for articles related to the Mavs or something you'd like to see, feel free to pitch it in the comments. If I like it, I'll follow up on it and all that. So, let's see. No, that's still a Dennis or a Luka related question. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, so one thing I need to mention as well, for Sunday, there's going to be a schedule tweak to this because the Cowboys play at 3:30, but I'm doing the Cowboys experience thing again, which means I'll be out there well before 3, which is going to throw a wrench in the Mavs fast break I usually do at like 2 or 3 on Sundays. So that might get pushed to Monday again to make an adjustment for that. But I'm going to figure out something for that because obviously there's 6 more Cowboy home games total the rest of the way, including this Sunday. So I'm going to have to figure out something schedule-wise that can work consistently and to give you guys something to kind of anticipate a little bit better. Here's Young Onyx with a question for DeAndre. If DeAndre Jordan is getting double-digit rebounds, does that help the Mavs win more games? I'm going to say yes. You want to give your 2 cents on that?
I mean, in a simple answer, yes, but it's a yes, and it's how much, because, rebounding, especially this year, offensive rebounding's value has crashed drastically because unlike last year where on an offensive rebound where it hit off the rim, the shot clock resets to 24, now it only sets to 14. So,
that's true.
You might lose the extra win that you might have compared to last year because you have less time on a possession off an offensive rebound for either to run out the clock or to get up another shot.
True.
That's a major concern. The rebounds are going to be huge though because rebounds in Dallas usually means lot more made 3-pointers, even if the attempts rise at the same time.
Yeah, Dallas did shoot a lot of threes last year. Weren't one of the best 3-point shooting teams, but they sure attempted a lot of them last year. To give some context, so saying double-digit rebounds, if he only averages 10, to me that's a disappointment. Not saying he has to average 15 like last year, but if he's less than 12.5 a game, I'm kind of scratching my head like, all right, well, it's nice to have this, but it's not what we thought we were getting. We thought we were going to get a guy that could give you a double-double with like a strong board average of 13 or something like that,
Yeah, I mean,
because that's how you dominate at that point. If you're getting 12, that's solid. But if you're getting 13, 14, 15, then you're dominating the glass, and that creates a lot more opportunities.
Yeah, to be honest, he's had like 13 rebounds even with Blake Griffin in the Lob City era. So I definitely expect around 13 or 12.
Okay.
My main thing with his offensive rebounds, you'll see this in the piece, there's a lot of times where he goes up for a putback unnecessarily, and then he'll miss it because he can't dunk.
Yeah.
And not because he doesn't have the ability to dunk, but it's too crowded in the lane, he can't jump up, or he'll lose the ball because if he tries to jump up, so instead he tries to finish a touch with a hook where he turns around and puts up a hook, or he'll lay it up and in, and then it just doesn't go in. And then you just lost all the value generated from that new possession, especially last year where you had a 24-second shot clock now instead of 14, what you have this year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very frustrating to see that. But whenever he actually gets a putback off a dunk, it definitely brings a lot of energy on the court.
Yeah, absolutely. Teflon Breed asks, can DeAndre make the All-Star team in the West? I don't think he'll make it in the West, especially, I think you mentioned earlier, in the East. He might have had a chance to be an outside chance, but in the West, especially as crowded as it is, even if he averages 17 boards a game, I don't know that the rest of his stats with how crowded the West is would help him get over the top.
I mean, if he rose up to the quote-unquote PIPM wins added MVP candidate and was putting up the insane block numbers and being the godly defender he was in 99th percentile big man Dwight Powell levels, but on a starting context instead of off the bench.
Yeah.
And being somewhat okay posting up versus guys that are 6 foot and doing those sorts of things and not making as many dumb decisions on putbacks and those type of things. Maybe he gets in the West as the reserve, and that's with all his incredible numbers because the West is just so stacked.
Yeah, it is. It's ungodly stacked, and it only got more lopsided this summer. So, be interesting to see how that shakes up and everything, and how that changes the overall kind of scope of things to the West in the last couple of years with this exodus of all-stars from the East to the West.
Yeah, I mean, the one positive thing is that you've seen a kind of a backflow ever so slightly back to the East just because you have Victor Oladipo going from OKC to Indiana and establishing himself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is kind of crazy to think about, but if you look at the PIPM stats and advanced stats, he's considered a top 5 player in the league. Now, I wouldn't say that, but I'd say he deserves to be ranked higher than a lot of people have him, for sure.
Okay. So long shot for sure for him to make the All-Star team in the West, but I mean, I don't want to say never, but I'm going to say probably not likely. Let's see. You think DeAndre will be better defensively this year? I think he will. Better. I think he'll be better with regard to post defense and all that. Hopefully his block shot numbers go up a little bit more. I'm not expecting a big leap back to what they looked like in 2015 when we tried to get him, but I could see him moving up to about a block and a half a game again. Yeah, I mean, the block numbers at the end of the day, that's just a number for me. Because, you look at Tyson Chandler, he had, 1 block a game, but he had this revolutionary impact on defense because he contests, almost every single shot that his opponents put up, and he's physical, and he guards the space all right, and he's a leader, he's vocal. That's what I want from DeAndre Jordan. I want him to be vocal. I want him to be physical. I want him to be engaged, unlike last year. Yeah.
I need those types of things, and that's what's going to make him a good defender, not necessarily him averaging more or less blocks. Because honestly, if he came in and averaged the exact same amount of blocks, but you could see it on the court where he revolutionizes the defense, I will be completely fine.
Yeah, you just need to be able to see that he's changing the opponent's shot at the rim. Maybe not blocking the shot, but at least making it difficult for them.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at his stats, what I was talking about in the piece, his contested shots to defensive field goals attempts for two-pointers, it fell from contesting 75% of opponents' defensive field goals in 2016-17 to in 2017-18 down to about 65%. That's a lot. So, and that's just like two-pointers, and that's not even including times where it gets switched out on the three-point line, and then, you know, he doesn't guard Marc Gasol's three-pointers.
Yeah.
So,
huh. Interesting. Let's see. Take the questions that are still left here real quick. With DeAndre being 30, 31 next season, what would be an appropriate salary per year for him for like a 3-year deal, let's say? So if Dallas signed him again to like a 3-year deal after, what would be, you think, an ideal wage for him, like per year?
If I had to average it out, I would probably say about 13. But it would be a front-loaded contract where, like, next year you'd get like 17 or 16, and then, you know, take another 1.5 and then another 1.5, and then he's down like 14 or 13 million. But that way he'll get his money up front. If, like, load up a whole bunch of incentives that if he reaches it, it can go up from an average of like 13 or 14 to an average of like 17 if, like, he reaches all these incentives somehow despite aging.
Yeah.
So
okay,
that's how to put it.
Yeah, I think that'd be a smart way to go about it for sure. Hopefully they're able to hang on to him because, like I said, I initially was reluctant at the idea of like, oh, just like a 4 or 5 year deal and max him out. I was like, I don't want to do that. But if you're smart about how you set it up, yeah, then you want to make sure you keep him for more than a year, because otherwise, what was the point other than to make your team more exciting for 1 year? Because it's not like you're going to have a high draft pick, and it's not like there's a product like him coming out in the draft unless you're in that top 5, which they don't even plan to try and be in that top 5 for the draft again next year anyway. They're already foregone conclusion. They gave up that pick to Atlanta.
Yeah. This year they definitely have to go for the playoffs, even if they're not going to make it probably. So the thing is, with DeAndre Jordan aging this year, despite all this, I swear I saw this on the Dallas Morning News Sports Day. They had like this media call with like the TNT guys, and it was like a different crew. It was Candace Parker, Reggie Miller, Chris Webber.
Yeah.
And Reggie Miller was like, Mavs are going to get 7 seed. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's kind of bold.
I mean, to be fair, he did play for Rick Carlisle in the Pacers. So it might be slightly biased, but still, that's a lot of optimism right there.
That is certainly a lot.
And then, speaking of maxing people out, Chris Middleton, please come to Dallas. Please deny your freaking player option that is a weak contract. Come here. We will load you 4 years, 5 years, however long it is, max contract. I don't care. Come here. We will pay you whatever you want. Please.
There you go. I know your Twitter handle's making or not your handle, but your username is making the push for it, trying to breathe it into existence.
Yeah, I mean, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, no, it does. It absolutely does. Hopefully that would be a huge ad for them for what they're building.
And just whenever it makes that much sense, and it's a guy that's like a fringe all-star player who might originally have these thoughts of loyalty because he is Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's like, I've always been the underling to this superstar ever since like 2 years ago. Like, if you want to sign, come to Dallas and you will be put on that pedestal of like, you won't necessarily be considered the outright superstar, but you're going to be in like a collection of group where like you're equal to this guy and you're going to be put on just as big of a role and maybe and sometimes you're going to be the guy to close out games and take the clutch shots, because he did a lot of that in the playoffs, and it was just incredible to watch.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I think that'll wrap up the time we got for this episode. Max, you want to tell them where they can find your work and your Twitter and all that?
Yes, my Twitter is at Rangersking669, no caps. Name includes Chris Middleton, a fan account, alter ego. On top of that, you can find my work at the Dallas Prospect. The new piece is out. Quick note for y'all listeners, there's going to be a clip added to there that is not in there right now about his space and pick and roll defense.
Yeah, I just added that like 2 minutes ago.
Well, guess what? It's in there now, y'all. Please go see that clip, because it's very important y'all see that clip, because otherwise about half of that paragraph is not going to make any sense.
Right.
On top of that, I think about now is about the right time to go in and announce this. Sure. A couple weeks back, I signed up with this NBA draft website called Lock Draft, and currently they're still doing a site like relaunch, so they haven't been putting anything out, but I'm working on something to be coming out in the next couple weeks, so be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's huge for sure. Anytime you want to, share any of the stuff or come on here to talk about your work that you're doing for them, absolutely. You've got the platform.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to make sure that, I give as much time as I can to both sides, and, make sure I'm consistent. My main thing with being excited about this draft side is just because, a lot of people come in and they're like, what's all this? And you're like, I want to get into that hardcore draft audience, while at the same time, you kind of told me this when you first signed me on. It was like, you might be like the Brian Broaddus of the Mavericks. I'm like, well, that's a very high praise, but it's definitely something that I might aspire to be in the future if I end up being more on the writing and fan side of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely, a high mark to set, but at the same time, like you said, it's the whole shoot for the stars thing, right? You don't have the ambition to just get in the game. You want to be one of the best at it. So that's what you got to work toward. That's the mindset you got to have, and you got to breathe it into existence. Just keep pursuing it and keep working, and eventually stuff will break right. You've got a talent for this for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't dare say it if someone didn't say it directly to me themselves. So
Sure.
Yeah. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. But okay, cool. So thanks for coming on here tonight. As for Dallas Prospect, like I said, most of you guys in here at this point are probably already subscribed to the page, the YouTube page. If not, subscribe, ring that bell if you want to see anytime we go live. We talk Mavs, and if you're interested, Cowboys each week, as well as some college football as well. There's going to be a lot more content coming out with the season starting up in a week. And beyond that, Facebook, Twitter. Twitter is at Dallas Prospect. Any other platform, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, whatever, it's the Dallas Prospect. But yeah, just follow the pages, like the pages, subscribe, whatever. And we'll be out here giving you the best content we can each and every week. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that's going to wrap up the time for this show, guys. Thanks for watching. And remember, you want to hit the tagline, Max?
Every legend was once a prospect. Salute.
Salute. All right, welcome back, guys. This is Darreck of the Dallas Prospect, and the Oklahoma City Thunder have their first game in the books now. It was a home opener against the visiting New York Knicks.
What's up, guys? This is Darreck Kirby, aka DDP of the DallasProspect.com, your home for all things Dallas sports and pop culture. Welcome back to the Dallas Prospect YouTube channel. Today we're going to be changing things up a little bit to take a look at our pop culture content.
I've seen you guys 4 or 5 times now, and I mean, not saying this just because you're literally right here. I've always thought you guys were just as good, if not even better, than the headliner for the shows.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I say something really quick?
Yes.
Darreck was totally nerding out about this interview, by the way.
Thank you.
He was really excited about this interview.
Thank you, Darreck.
All right, now that my credibility is shot.
If you're a fan of Dallas sports and pop culture, this is your place to be. Already decided you don't like me? No sweat. I'm one of like 15 contributors here.
He's pretty good at making adjustments season to season, but in a game, sometimes even week to week.
9 ridiculous Marvel and DC comic storylines we'd love to forget about. Personally, I'd like to forget that Wolverine and Squirrel Girl, but I have no need for Garrett. I don't want Garrett. I am sick of Jason Garrett. That said, I still think the problem was over here a little bit as well. I'm not saying it was the right way. I'm saying it was a way, and it was the way that they chose.
All right, here it is. Hush.
Children.
Oh, God, they did it.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm so good. I'm so good.
Welcome back to Cheap Pop, where I try to analyze and break down the biggest questions across film and television. Today's topic, Annihilation, starring Natalie Portman.
Let me tell you something, brother. This is the 4th straight year of Cavs versus Warriors, brother. And oh, brother, are we sick and tired of seeing it.
I mean, really, there's no telling how different this team would have looked in recent years had Cuban simply drafted. And it was Cuban's decision, don't get it twisted. Donnie Nelson loved Giannis. It was Mark Cuban's decision to pass on the Greek freak. This is a more puzzling one because at least Eric Dampier saw 6 out of those 7 years on that contract with Dallas. And it was the trade chip Dallas actually got from moving on from Dampier that allowed them to go get Tyson Chandler. Facts. Dennis Smith Jr. highlight dunk. Alright, let's see what the hype's about.
Oh! Even if he had Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos wears on the left hand. Infinity Gauntlet, brother. It wouldn't change the outcome. And in case you're a Warriors fan, well, let me tell you something, brother. Let me tell you something, brother. Snakes can't wear gauntlets, brother.
WWE Creative has no real direction for Finn Balor, and it's driving me crazy.
What are they doing?
I don't know, but I wish somebody, anybody could come in here and fix the booking of Finn Balor. Why? Who are you? Who are you?
What's going on?
What's up? I'm DDP from the Dallas Prospect. I heard you needed a fantasy booker.
What are your thoughts for how the offense can kind of right the ship against the Lions this week, since it's been struggling the past few weeks?
Well, first of all, the players got to be accountable to themselves and get out there and play some hard-nosed football. And quit worrying about what play is called, what play is not called.
This next matchup will be the first time, brother, but not really. The last time, brother, but please God, yes. The only time, brother, that we get 2 NBA teams matching up in the finals. 1, 2, 3, 4 times in a row, brother. Because, frankly, brother, it's getting a little bit nauseating at this point.
You want the tagline?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Every legend begins.
Oh my God, you're fired. You're just fired from.
I'm freaking tired, okay? I'm freaking tired. I slept on the ground, man. I slept on the freaking ground. I don't care what you say. I slept for like 30 minutes. I had no sleep. What? No. You don't tell me what I experienced. I slept on the freaking ground. Okay?
Every legend was once a prospect.
Yeah. And they're getting pressure on the QB too, and usually that translates to interceptions or tipped passes or just passes thrown under duress. But I really can't see, I don't know if it's like a, phenomenon or what, but